Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. You join me today in the darkness that is my bedroom. I don't know if this lighting is better or not than normal, to be honest. I just decided not to turn on my room light, but keep my desk light on. And we're just going to roll with it today. But anyway, as you can see in the video title, we are going to be looking through all the 2024 rule changes for the AFL season. There's not too many to go through here, and a couple of them aren't really rule changes, more just rule adjustments. But I still thought that I'd go through them and give my thoughts on all of them. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do this before in AFL YouTube, so I think I've come up with a unique video idea or concept. So yay me, I guess. But anyway, let's get into this. So yeah, we're on the AFL website now, as you can see. These rule changes came out 2 days ago, although I only read through them today. I can't remember all of them. I remember most of them. But anyway, the first few rule changes here were, as I said, not really rule changes as such, more just adjustments to the rule. So the first one is relating to, as you can see on screen here, the Maynard-Brayshaw incident, which happened in the qualifying final last year. Everyone remembers it. Brayden Maynard jumped up, attempted to smother the ball, and crashed into Brayshaw, knocking him out. He was originally sent straight to the tribunal for a suspension of 3 or more matches. But in the end, he got off. The Collingwood lawyers argued that he did everything he could to try and avoid the collision, and he got off scot-free. He was free to play in the rest of the final series. Now, personally, I thought that was the right decision, but it looks as if they're going to make it so that any future incidents like that are going to be suspensions, no matter what. So basically, they're putting more duty of care on the player attempting to smother. So if you leave the ground and attempt to make a smother, they are going to make it, unless you do like everything you possibly can. Where is it? Let me just find it. So the AFL has acted after a commission meeting on Monday with the change for smothers, meaning that when a player leaves the ground in an attempt to make a smother, the player's act will be deemed careless at a minimum, unless the player has taken all reasonable steps to avoid that high contact and or minimize the force of that high contact. For example, by adopting a body position that minimizes the force of the high contact. So they're not completely ruling out jumping smother attempts, but it looks as if the players are going to have to be a lot more careful. Now, look, if they are going to try and like suspend players for doing that, then it's good that they've at least, actually put it out there. They've kind of, more or less made it clear what you actually have to do. I still think there's a bit of grey area, like at what point do you kind of just have to sacrifice your own safety, in a sense, to kind of minimize the impact? Because it's all a split-second decision, by the way, as well. I mean, we saw that with that Maynard incident last year. After leaving the ground, he had like less than a second to think about what he was going to do to try and avoid getting injured himself and avoid, minimizing the contact he makes, the force of the contact he makes with Brayshaw. So yeah, I mean, it's good at least that they're trying to, clear up any confusion on what the players have to do. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens the next time an incident like that does happen. Hopefully they're at least consistent with it. That's all I'm saying. Now, the other rule adjustment is to do with rough conduct tackles, dangerous tackles. So obviously both of these rule adjustments are due to like concussion issues in the AFL. Obviously it's been a year now since that class action lawsuit was filed against the AFL. with many former players who suffered repeated concussions, obviously wanting compensation. So the AFL is clearly trying to, you know, crack down on rough conduct and head-high contact to basically do whatever they can to stop future lawsuits. So they've tweaked the rough conduct guidelines. Let's just read it out here. The AFL has been concerned with rundown tackles where the tackling player has contributed to the force with which the tackle player is driven into the ground, leaving the player with the ball in a vulnerable position, with the proposed amendment giving greater regard to this facet. Watch Dan Butler incident below, cited by the AFL as an example. So they haven't really explained here what actually is the rule amendment. So I'm a bit confused. I mean, look, you've all seen I assume you've all seen the Dan Butler. I guess we'll just give it a watch here.
He was aggressive towards Francis in the end. Florent found Blakey, sidestep, crouch, took one step.
You can see there, Dan Butler running from behind. That was paid a free kick on game day. He didn't get a suspension for it. He originally got a 1-week ban, but then that got overturned. So as you can see there, Dan Butler was chasing down Nick Blakey, and in my opinion, nothing in it. There never should have been a free kick, never should have been a suspension. And if they're saying that these sort of tackles in the future are going to warrant suspensions, then I'm a little bit concerned, because I don't really know what Dan Butler, what else he could have done there. I mean, he was chasing him down, so he was diving forward to lay the tackle. So obviously, it's very likely that he's going to have to take the opponent to ground. His only option there is to just not tackle him, is basically what they're saying. So they haven't really, I don't believe they've kind of said anything about what the rough conduct guidelines, how exactly they've been tweaked. So yeah, I'm a bit confused on this one. Like the first one, I don't really fully agree that we should be cracking down on jumping smothers so much, but at least they kind of tried to make it clear what you can and can't do. With this one, I honestly have no idea. So yeah, I'm really confused about this one. So there have been some other rule changes that got announced as well. Now these are actual rule changes, not rule adjustments. So the first one here, the sub rule will continue, but clubs will now name an extended bench of 5 players and increase from 4 and 3 emergency players. Each team's sub will be confirmed 60 minutes prior to the match. So yeah, basically they've just added another player on the bench. I don't think it really changes much. There's 1 extra player that gets to play each week, so good for that 1 extra player that does manage to get a game. Good on them. But yeah, I don't think this will change too much really. So I'm just kind of neutral on that change. I don't really have an opinion on it. Now this one I fully agree with. The action of a player ruled to have committed a strike when intentionally shoving or fending an opponent will now be graded as intentional rather than careless. This one, yeah, fully agree with. I don't know why it wasn't a thing already. Like, how is doing that not intentional to someone's head? That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, the Charlie Ballard incident basically just gave a forearm to the head off the ball, and that was originally a 1-match ban. It got overturned. This is the sort of stuff they should actually be cracking down on, not like jumping smothers and bumps that attempted fair bumps that go a little bit high, in my opinion. I think they can let that stuff, slide a little bit, but they really should just be there's no way, in my opinion, that a forearm to the head should be getting less weeks than a bump contesting the ball or a rundown tackle or a jumping smother. It just doesn't make any sense to me, in my opinion, because it's off the ball, it's unprovoked, it is nothing to do with the game, it is in no way a footballing action. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see that change. I don't understand why it wasn't a thing in the first place, but at least they've changed it now. Next one, we've got straight arm blocks will be permitted in a ruck contest provided the player contests the ball. To be honest, I thought this was the thing already, but yeah, I guess that's a good thing. I don't really have much of an opinion on it, because I thought you were just allowed to block the opponent as long as you actually like made contact with the ball. So I mean, yeah, I guess it's a good thing that they changed this. I don't think it'll change too much again, but yeah, I think this is fair enough. It might stop like some ruckmen like putting their knee into the opposition, which could prevent a few more injuries from happening. So yeah, I suppose I suppose this is a good thing. This next one, a little bit more interesting. If an offence is graded as severe impact by the match review officer, but only the minimum penalty is sought, the MRO can prescribe a sanction and the player submit an early guilty plea without the case having been referred directly to the tribunal. So I assume this just means that the tribunal can hand out 3-match bans, which if they graded something to be like 3 matches or more, then it went straight to the tribunal. But now they can just hand out 3-match bans, I guess. I assume I think that's what it means. Yeah, I mean, I guess this one I don't really have too much of an opinion on, but I would be interested to see other people's opinions on this one, because at the end of the day, you can still like challenge bans and then refer that to the tribunal and then the AFL appeals board. So I don't really have too much of an opinion on this one either way, but it is an interesting rule change, I do believe. So next up here we've got this paragraph of writing. The in-finals ranking system has been codified to determine the home club for grand finals in both the AFL and AFLW. The winners of the qualifying finals will be ranked 1st and 2nd. The losing of the qualifying finals ranked 3rd and 4th. The higher of the 2 clubs on the premiership ladder will be 3rd. And the winners of the elimination finals ranked 5th and 6th. The higher of the 2 clubs on the premiership ladder will finish 5th. I think this already was a thing in the AFLW, and in the AFL it makes absolutely no difference because the grand finals played at the MCG every year, so what's the point in having home teams? I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, it doesn't really change anything in the men's league. And finally, this one, whistling from the interchange bench is prohibited. I don't know what caused this, why this has been outlawed. I think it's a bit strange. I think it's a bit unnecessary. There has to be like a reason or an incident as to why they've changed this, because it just seems a bit random and unnecessary, and I don't really know why they would feel the need to change that. It just doesn't really... I don't get it. So yeah, I don't really agree with this one, but also it's not going to change anything, at least from a viewing perspective. Maybe it'll be slightly harder to get messages out to the player, but it shouldn't change too much. But yeah, a bit strange. I don't get it. So yeah, there's a little bit of writing at the bottom here talking about, you know, the number of tribunal cases should be reduced because of that this one here that I'm highlighting, this rule change, and basically they want to protect the players, keep the game safer, protect the head, blah blah blah. So yeah, overall, I kind of don't really know what to say about a lot of these rule changes. I'm interested to see how this new interpretation of these rough conduct rule adjustments will go. You know, I think the number of suspensions in the AFL last year due to dangerous tackles and like high bumps and things was a bit excessive, and I feel like this could make it even worse. hopefully now that they've sort of tried to clear up at least some of it with what you are and aren't allowed to do, hopefully there's a bit less confusion. But I'm not too sure how it's going to go, and I'm a little bit concerned, to be honest, because if this Dan Butler tackle is going to warrant suspensions in the future, yeah, there's going to be a lot of suspensions, and I really don't think that this is the path the game should be going down. Yeah, the most positive rule change here was probably the striking rule. Hopefully players start getting suspended for striking, because that is like the one thing that I definitely think players should always be suspended for, is striking, because it is just completely unnecessary, not part of the game at all. So yeah, that's like the one rule change I can give the positive, hearty thumbs up. But yeah, other than that, not much more to say. Let me know what you think about all these rule changes in the comments below. Drop a like on the video if you did like it, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.